Waiting. Hello, my friends. This is Lada from AstroladaCom and oops, sorry. And today my guest is astrologer, healer, and she's like a person of encyclopedic knowledge, Jaymie. Hello, Jaymie.
Having me back.
I'm so excited. The first interview we did together, people was like, "Where did this lady come from? She's incredible." I'm so excited, and the topic that you offered for today was something that is on everyone's heart, especially like times are changing so much now. No one is certain financially because we don't know in 2, 3 years how many jobs will be missing, how many new careers people have to invent, and old ones will disappear. And you gave the perfect suggestion for a topic: how to get cozy with money. Get cozy with money. And you're using astrology and other healing techniques, and I'm very looking forward to hear what you have to share with us.
Absolutely. Yes, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I'm a Venus Almutin, but I have a challenged Venus. And so this is definitely a theme that I've worked with. My chart ruler is ruled by Venus. So it's something that's really important to me. And so I wanted to do this topic because in the last video we talked about scorpionic things, the best way to heal your trauma based on your unique chart. And so today I want to talk about the opposite sign and the opposite house, which is Taurus, which is about getting cozy with money. It's not just about like working through a trauma, but really learning to be able to enjoy ourselves and our quality of life. And I feel like when it comes to money, there's a lot of information, but it's a matter of sifting through what information is actually beneficial for us. And I find that even in astrology, which is a lot more holistic in nature, I think that there's a lot of approaches in money where it's kind of disconnected. And so I want to share my insights on how we can work through things because even in astrology, when people talk about money, this is the second house, and people jump straight to the second house. And I feel like sometimes that's a little premature because, like, yes, our second house is about our money and the best way for us to attract money. But if we're not being honest about who we are, then we're not operating from our first house, which comes first.
Mhm.
And so then there's like this mismatch that's taking place. So, like, for example, like if someone learns, like, say they're a Scorpio rising and they have Sagittarius in their second house of how to make money, but they grew up being told that they're too intense, that they're too much and stuff. So they're masking and they're operating out of their opposite sign of Taurus. You're now like in your seventh house trying to make money from your second house. And so you got to go through 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. And now you're like operating from like this trying to make money is like this state of trauma. And so it's really important to really be honest about who you are. And I think starting there is so important and I think gets overlooked a lot of the time. And the thing is that, like, with money, we don't really talk about it, but we're in a relationship with money. And so at the end of the day, when we're trying to call in money, it's like, me saying like, money, I want you to like show up, or hey, like, can we hang out? Or, Lada, you're like, oh, money, like I'm here, like, can you come to me? Money is going to show up to us differently because we're different people. But if you're like, and then money gets a notification and it's like, oh, like Lada wants me to go visit her. But if you're not acting like yourself, money's discerning. It's ruled by the second house in Taurus. Money's going to show up, kind of come around you and be like, is that Lada? I don't really know. And then just kind of backpedal. And I think that there are ways that people are like not really being who they are, that's making it difficult for them to really connect with money. And I also think that there are the mindset things that we have to change and shift. And I do have some like insights on that. And then there's also like, hang on a sec, let me take a look at my
So you're
notes
saying
here.
because the ascendant is the whole overall vibration person has, the aura. and you need to embody truthfully your ascendant before you can attract anything and keep it.
Exactly. And so I think that there's a lot of these things that have to be worked on that I think is sort of overlooked. And so there's a lot of those things that's going on, but I just think there's so many layers to it. And so so depending on what time you were born, we're not all going to have Aries in our first house and Taurus in our second house, but the energy of Taurus in our second house of how to attract money is there. And Venus rules Taurus, it rules money, but Venus also rules Libra. And so we also have a relationship with money. And I think that there's a lot of ways in which people are interacting with money that's problematic. And I think that there's also information that's being perpetuated that's problematic. And something I noticed is that like the more spiritual you are, the more a lot of the common money information doesn't really work. So, like you'll find like a millionaire money coach who will say like tell money what to do, and it'll come to you. But if you're a spiritual, holistic, thoughtful person, that's really not going to work. And a lot of times, if you think about like how we treat money, like we're in a relationship with money, and imagine like being in a relationship with someone who treats us the way we treat money, where it's like we hit them up when we want something, we're complaining that it's not enough, that you're not doing enough, you're not expressing gratitude and stuff. It's like, why is money going to want to come around? And then there's this idea of all these like wealthy people who are like, you like tell money what to do and it'll do it. And it's like, yeah, because that's not the vibration of who you are, and money is going to align with that. But the more spiritual you are, the less that method is going to work.
So
So I think
different
there's a
rules for different levels of consciousness, different spiritual.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. And that makes a lot of sense. Like that's why some things work for some people and it doesn't work for others. And it's just a matter of like really realizing where we're at, and I just think that there's so many layers, but I also think that we really have to change our perception and understanding of money, especially for women. Like Venus is one of the two feminine planets. The only two feminine planets are Moon and Venus. And so for women especially, the more we learn to receive, the more we connect with the feminine planets, the more money's going to show up. Whereas men are ruled by the masculine planets, so they can work hard, they can hustle in order to make money, and they're still going to be able to attain it a little bit more easily. And then, we have to consider like the reality that we do live in a toxic patriarchal society with systemic oppression and racism and the financial gender gap and stuff like that. So there are certain like challenges, but also on an astrological level for women, it's a lot harder for us to make money based on the narratives that has been like pushed. The idea of like you have to work hard for money, it's like that actually goes against the energy and nature of a Venus, which is money.
And women,
And
money and
yeah,
women. That's
exactly.
why
It's like it's
women
the
want
whole
rich
thing.
men, men to take care of
Yeah, it's like because
the
that was
cliche,
the
but it's energetically.
Yeah, and that was like the biggest missing link that I used to have when I was younger, where I was like, okay, fine, everyone tells me I'm not supposed to work hard for money, but like not working hard isn't working, and all these men are working hard and they're making money. So what am I supposed to do? And then I realized, oh, it's not just about taking the action, but actually embodying it. And the rules are different. And men go through their hormonal cycle in 24 hours. Women, it can take us like a month or depend, and like our cycle tends to be a little bit off a lot of times too. So it's like we don't have the stamina. We're not wired to be consistent in working hard for money anyway. So it's already not sustainable and it's going to deplete our sacral
I love
energy.
this insight. I love it. I totally agree with it because I've seen
Yeah.
so many women get themselves, especially feminine illnesses of the breast, of the reproductive organ, of hormones, lack of energy from going on this, what was that called, 9 to 5, or corporate, very competitive
Yeah.
environments. And then health problems start coming. And I'm like, I real at the beginning, I was like that grind, grind, grind. And I'm like, no, now I work 2 days per week. I might put a lot of energy in those 2 days, but there,
Yeah.
when it feels natural to flow into it. But sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. And you guys, Lada's an Aries and she's saying this. So, that really says something because when Aries who work hard, like is actually doing better, although I think you're also a projector, so that also has an influence. But for women, it's really important for us to really shift that perspective. That's a really big thing. Are you still there? I mean, it's okay
Yes,
if you're
yes,
not.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I'm listening.
Um, Okay. And so this is really important. And I think that we just have to unlearn a lot of different things. And one of the most maddening things for me, and I don't understand why this exists, is that concept of like money doesn't grow on trees, right? Like that that narrative never made sense to me. It's like it I mean, like cash, paper is made out of trees, but it's not even about that. It's like, why are we even saying that money doesn't grow on trees? Because what's happening is that we learn that narrative at a young age where most people are really visual. We haven't developed our analytical minds yet. And we're looking at, like, we're now seeing this image of this tall ass tree and tiny us right next to it. And there's all this like cash on the leaves that we can't access. And then it's almost like this X money doesn't grow on trees. And it creates this narrative and this stigma and this idea that money is inaccessible to us.
Mhm.
And that really just doesn't make sense to me. And when I think about what money actually means in astrology with the second house and Taurus and stuff, and Tauruses are ruled by bulls, but in ancient astrology, it's also cows. And when you look at how cows and bulls are, they're just grazing and they're just chilling by themselves and they're just having like a good old time. They're not working hard, they're not hustling. And like what are they doing? They're eating. Taurus also rules food. And then there's this idea of you are what you eat, right? And so to me, it makes more sense to think that money is grass. Like, why don't we think about it in that way? Like, that's a very astrologically correct perspective. And
Really?
here's the thing, okay? The first house is us. The second house sits right below our first house, and it's about things that represent us and our physical body, our first house. The second house is below us. Grass is on the ground, it is below us. Taurus is the most grounded sign. And I'm
Yes,
like, why is this not a normalized thing? Like, I don't understand why we don't see like money as grass. And I
really.
think that it's one, astrologically correct and accurate, but I think it also creates a mindset shift because then it makes us think that, like, okay, like money is stable, it's secure, it supports us because the grass is below us. And we're like, what's that other saying? Like the grass is greener on the other side. It's like, why are we looking at other people's grasses? Like, we don't need to do that. And if you are focused on the grass right below you and stuff, I think that it's a really good metaphor because some people, certain parts of the area of the grass, like it might just be a lot of soil. It's really splotchy, and that might be like the poverty-stricken mentality of people are like, oh my God, I don't have any like money. But if you just look around, there's more grass on the other side. You just have to turn your head. And if you water the plant, if you water the grass, if you've ever walked through a rice field, the grass grows really high and stuff. So because even like the notion of like money doesn't grow on trees, it creates this idea. I mean, I don't know. I'm an overthinker. So when like I first heard that, I'm like, I don't even know where the forest is, and I don't want to get a ladder. I'm thinking of all these different things. I'm thinking, why am I even thinking about this when I don't even money doesn't even grow on trees? And it creates this narrative. And whether it's true or not, it creates this message that money is inaccessible. And it's a very ableist concept. Like not everyone can go out into the forest, get a ladder and stuff. But the idea of money being grass, all you have to do is bend over. Now, not everyone can bend over, but it could also just come to you. Like, there's so many different things. And when I teach astrology, like on a molecular level, I break down what grass is made of and I tie it in with the elements, because I think that there's so many different ways where I feel like when you see money as grass, there's different types of grass. There's real grass, there's faux grass, there's like digital currency, there's physical cash and all of this stuff. And I think it's more inclusive, it's more accessible. I think it's a healthier way to look at things, because I think a lot of us, we overcomplicate things. We make it so much more difficult, and we're like trying to like almost like metaphorically jump up to get the money that's not growing on trees apparently, or we're really working hard unnecessarily, when we should be looking at like what's right in front of us. Like I think we need to act more like cows and bulls, and eat, and I don't know, like just kind of like take things in a approach things in a different way. And so that's my big thing. I'm like, why is everyone talking about money is grass? And like once the grand conjunction happened, I'm like, now that astrology is going to be like mainstream, I want that whole money doesn't grow on trees bullshit to go away, and people be like, money is grass. How are you going to grow your grass? Like I think that's a healthier perspective and outlook when it comes to seeing like what money actually is, so that we don't make it like further away from us than it actually is.
I absolutely agree with you. I'll share my own experience because I grew up with exactly the same. That was my dad saying, and he was saying, everyone who has money is mafia, they're lying, they're cheating, and it was so instilled. I thought all rich people are evil people. And then I go to a foreign country and start seeing this is not true. They're very nice, pleasant, people that are well to do. But I was in very poor condition till my 30s. And it was very hard for me. It was my patch of grass, like you said, was probably more like a patch of sand than grass. And it took me a few years. But once you shift this energy and perspective, after a certain time, you become so secure that you can always create resources and that you can grow your own grass, like you say. And for me, because I have strong Saturn influences on my second house, so for me, it was this poverty consciousness. Money is not enough. It's not, there is not enough money around. There is not enough resources. There's not enough grass. And slowly, slowly, but for some people, it might be an instantaneous shift. For me, it took 3 or 4 years of consistently being able to provide finances. And I was working exactly like you said, like 12 hours per day. I had little kids and I still like, I would leave them to my husband and I would work with the fear consciousness. And then I said, I cannot sustain that. I was starting to get sicker and sicker. So removed one thing, another thing, and I left just the bare minimum, and money kept coming. And little by little, it calmed me down that, you don't have to like overwork yourself exactly once you. And I got used to the idea that there is resources around. And my husband taught me a lot because he would say, you always say there is not enough money, everyone is poor. Says it's the opposite. People are spending more and more on all kinds of things. Focus on that. And over, I would say 5, 6 years or 4 or 5 years of consistently having financial security, that's when my fears disappeared. But I'm very extreme case because I'm Saturn. I mean, Saturn is conjunct
Yeah.
second house ruler, and I have no other planets there or influences. So very starved sense of security and money.
Yeah.
But even with this really hard, like some astrologer would look and say, you would make your money with sweat on your forehead, you'd work very hard, you'd have a lot of poverty, which was initially the case. Now it's the opposite, and you get used to it. And once a river starts flowing, it will keep flowing. Even if something blocks it, it will find a way to flow in another place. But even if it dries, it will flow again. So it's about breaking through this resistance initially, and it worked. And now
Yeah.
it's fascinating. Whatever I touch turns to gold. It's,
Yeah.
I started repeating this. Whatever I touch turns to gold. Where I see opportunity, they're everywhere. It's incredible. But it's the confidence, little by little, that you get it,
Mhm.
little by little. And I think initially people have to do some of the hard work to break through those barriers, but they shouldn't stick with that state of consciousness all the time. Sorry, I interrupted you again.
No.
Now, I just
No,
love your insight. So,
yeah. No, and it that makes a lot of sense. And like, especially for you, like Saturn also rules your subconscious, your unconscious mind, your fears, and then how you move about in the world. So it's like that's really intense. But also it makes sense because like you have Aries, which is really impulsive in your second house of money, but you have Virgo in your eighth house. So it's like your spouse's resources, other people's resources, like they tend to help you. And that's usually what I share with my clients who are Aquarius risings, is that it's like it's difficult to tell an impulsive person or someone who's like financially impulsive, like, don't be so financially impulsive. Like, that's not sustainable or useful information. It's about as useful as me saying absolutely nothing to you, you know? But like other people can make it easier for you to kind of like understand the value of money because you have Virgo in your eighth house. So it's like it's so interesting that you were saying like money or everything I touch turns to gold because you're using Mercury, Virgo, the voice, but you're also talking about gold, which is like Leo. So it's like having to integrate that like luxury, that wealth. So I thought that was interesting. And I liked how you said there's not enough grass. Because when you say it like that, it sounds really funny versus when people are like, there's not
Ridiculous,
enough
yeah.
money.
But
Yeah, but it's like, there's not enough grass. It's like, what? It's
there
like,
is grass.
but it's true. You know, and especially now that everything's becoming like digital and stuff, like you could get like a tenth of a whatever, stuff. It's like there's just it's a lot more, I think, accessible than people realize. We just have to approach things differently now. And yeah, um and kind of like elaborating on what I mentioned earlier about what like being in a relationship with money, right? So Venus rules money because Venus rules Taurus, but Venus also rules Libra, which is the sign of relationships. And so the second house is, well, I mean, even before I jump into that, like, no, actually, I want to talk about relationships. So, like, it's really important to have this respectful relationship with money, but it's important to remember, and this isn't just with money, this is even like with the relationships. And I got a client actually through your platform who wanted to know, a few people actually who wanted to know about relationship traumas and stuff. And it does depend on everyone, like some people who have like a more youthful chart, they learn more about how to love themselves through relationships and partnerships. But with other charts, it's really very much about like you have to really give that love to yourself. But I don't like the generalization of when people say that because it's not always the case for everyone. But when it comes to like money and stuff like that, like overall, generally the reason why that makes sense is because your second house in modern astrology has been like there's so much focus on money that it's almost one dimensional. But the second house is technically resources that support us in our physical body. So this is about our weight, our food, our self-esteem and stuff. So sometimes people kind of like skip steps without realizing it, and their poor relationship with money is actually that's a symptom, not the root of the problem. So you can ask yourself, how are you managing your other resources? How are you with food? How are you with your beliefs? How are you with your possessions? And if you find that overall these are things that you have difficulty in, then it's not the money that you need to heal, it's learning to manage your resources and recognizing that you deserve to have things that properly support you. Because without changing that, you can learn all the financial tricks in the world. You can learn all the budgeting. You can have an insider, a Wall Street trader, who is feeding you information on what to do, but on an unconscious, subconscious, on an unconscious, subconscious, and even conscious level, you're going to sabotage yourself. So it's really important to understand like the relationship that you have with money and with yourself and what you feel you deserve. And it's like Taurus in the second house. Yes, it rules money, but it also rules consistency, stability, reliability, safety. It's security oriented. And if you don't feel safe in that sort of energy, which a lot of people struggle with because of trauma, it's difficult to be present, then it's going to be difficult to have this healthy relationship with money. So when you are in a relationship with money where it's you and money, and now you're kind of operating in sort of that like Libra energy, there's a lot of trauma triggers, and people are like they're not showing up in a way where it's like, well, you're not being emotionally available, you're not being physically available, you're not making money feel welcome, and then you're wondering why people are, or what you're wondering why money isn't showing up in the way that you want to, but you're treating it in a transactional way, you're being inconsistent and stuff, and it's like, who wants to be around that? And it's like people act like they're in a situationship with money. And okay, I'm gonna say some triggering stuff, you guys, because I thought about it, and I thought it was like really funny. Is that like people really want access to, because like Venus is um she's a money, she's a woman, she's Aphrodite, it's like you want wifey benefits, but you're treating her like a side hoe.
Ah,
And like it's
amazing. True.
right. And like
I love that.
but yeah, I mean it's like, and then you're wondering why it's not quite working out. And also at the same time, because people are scared of money and they have trauma, they're they're treating money like some predator that you're trying to mooch off of. You're like scared, but you're like, give me, but you're scared. And it's like, well, yeah, of course money's gonna like not be that happy to be around you. So it's like we have to get grounded and develop a healthy, consistent, stable relationship with self-love, with our resources, to learn to feel safe, to know, hey, it's important for us to receive. Because like a lot of the things that I mentioned in the last video was about, this is how to regulate your nervous system. This is how to heal, right? But the other step to that isn't just about like constantly trying to heal, heal, heal. Part of the healing is feeling safe enough and allowing yourself to have the new experiences that actually creates those changes. And so I think that this is really important. So I was thinking about like, like I don't want to just like tell like, go on here and be like, this is what's wrong, this is the problem and stuff. Like I want to offer like solutions and insights. So think about like the five love languages: quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, right? Like how often are you, like most people who are struggling with money usually aren't engaging in these love languages, and yet you're in a relationship with it. Money is ruled by the sign that rules these things. So, like, I do recommend that you spend quality times with money. Like all the successful people, they are always talking about having money dates and stuff. They're looking at their investments, they're learning about investments, they're reading books, they're getting to know their partner, just like when you're romantically dating someone. And this is something that's really important to do. I know that Sama and Christina, they did like they have like videos and PDFs for this year for each rising sign, and it's really reasonably priced. Like that's something that people can get, as a way to like spend time, get to know money, get to know your partner, and words of affirmation. I think this is a big thing, like usually the things that people say are about money that when people are struggling, it's not, even if it's like, oh my God, like there are different ways to communicate something. So even if you're like barely making ends meet, right? And people are like, I'm so poor. Like after I pay for my rent and my car bill and food, I have nothing left. You could say that same message by being like, I'm so grateful that I have money. Like, I'm able to have a roof over my head. I can drive around to places. I'm able to eat. I had this delicious food. But I want more. And I'm looking for ways to do this. It's like the narrative. It's kind of like the difference between
I
people
can show
who,
you what I have on my phone. This is the
oh,
first thing. I have three phones, but the one I
mhm,
use the most, it's in English as well. I'm so happy and grateful now that the money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources and on a continuous basis. That's from, I
yeah,
forgot his name. He was, oops, sorry. And that's, what helped me this for me is words of affirmation, words of
yeah,
like one of the love languages. My love language is words, and quality time, but words in particular. So this is, and I did it consciously for years. I would put such kind of, or like, I'll tell to myself, because I always said, I don't have money, money is scarce. I start saying, everything I touch turns to gold. Money comes easily, money comes on a and it's like I'm
Yeah.
talking with it and affirming. So that was my
Exactly.
way, and it worked to reprogram my mind and to give me
Yeah.
peace of mind.
And what's interesting is that like some people are better suited for affirmations than others, but whether someone like some people there's other methods that are more effective, but I still think everyone should use affirmations because it's free, it's cheap, it's easy. Now there's so many apps. Like I really like the Think Up app, and you can record your own voice, which some people that have like a really strong like Venus on like their ascendant or their Leo, or they have some placement in their fifth house that they show that they're very well aspected with like their voice and stuff. Using their voice and doing a recording of money affirmations work really well, and specifically using the words that work with your placements. So like I was like when I listened to you saying like you were like, oh, like everything I touch turns to gold. It's like, oh, that makes sense. You have Virgo in your eighth house of other people's resources. What is the resource? Leo. Leo is gold. It's like for me, one of the affirmations that always felt like I was lying, and it actually used to make me angry. And it's because like one of my core values is honesty, is when people say like oh, money comes to me on a consistent basis because I'm a Cancer rising. So I experienced a lot of cyclical flow. So what I shifted to was I have a cyclical flow of cash, and I was like money always shows up when it's meant to. I'm able to budget based on the way money shows up and appears to me. Like I don't need money to show up consistency. I create that consistency myself. Like I know how much money I spend on things, and I get enough of all of whatever it is that I need until the next wave of money shows up. And I budget quarterly, which I personally like because it means I don't have to like be as consistent and stuff. So there's just like different things that are taking place here. But yeah, I just feel like these are things that people can do when it comes to like acts of services, like creating structure and systems to automate expenses, pay off debt, like financially planning for your future, investing in a financial coaching program, and really actively doing things for money, with money, which is a little different from quality time.
So
Um,
that's the acts of service. That's the third love
mhm.
language, acts of
Yeah.
service.
So
So yeah,
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 so there's
can you repeat them again? Because I wanna
oh,
remember.
quality time
No, 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 no.
is
Third one.
oh,
They just
oh,
what
acts of
to do.
service.
Yeah, with
Oh,
money.
create systems and structures to automate expenses, pay off debt, financially plan for your future, like actually take those steps, invest in a financial coaching program or opportunity, things like that.
Hmm.
That was the one, I'm gonna be honest, like when I was like, what is acts of service with money? Like I had to think about it a little bit.
Well, it's
Um,
actual actions, actual practical steps.
exactly.
That's what it is, and that's what usually most people do. Only this kind of because they think like money is practical. We need to approach it practically.
Yeah. No, and then you're like just like putting in this like one-sided effort, and it's almost like that dusty guy that's like trying to come at you, and you're just like go away, and they're just like bothering you, but like they're not making themselves like they're not presenting themselves in a way where I'm like, well, why do I want to even like give you my time? And I feel like that's something that we do with money because we do take it for granted, and that's something to change. And
Mhm.
then, so there's two more. There's gift giving, which is like being generous with your wealth,
That
donating.
would be someone who has Jupiter connected to the second house to give. And Saturn will be acts of service. If you have like Saturn,
Hmm.
because this is what really worked for me as well. I was having to do like the practical steps, really.
Yeah.
Jupiter is, and it's true, honestly, I've seen it. Uh, People that are giving, it comes back to them. They might not be wealthy, but every time they need it will come from another way or somehow.
Yeah. And I noticed that with like Aquarius risings for that reason. Scorpio risings, they're both like Jupiter rolled in the second house. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, and it's like and one of the biggest things that I hear when I mention this is that people are like, "Oh, I don't have any money to donate." But there's so many. different ways that we can do things that people don't realize. Like I used to go to the library. I used to work at the library, and I would just put dollar bills in the books as like a bookmark, you know? And just little things. And I remember because there's something called like the millionaire budget where you allocate your money into different categories. I tweaked mine, but there's like and I also renamed it too. So like the essentials, right? Like your what I can't remember what the millionaire budget called it, but like your
Electricity,
rent, your
whatever. Yeah.
expenses, yeah, like your, food, transportation, mortgage, cell phone bills, utilities, stuff like that. There's savings, there's long-term money that you want to save for furniture, buying for a car, traveling, play money. And this one, they said you have to spend the money within 90 days. This was the hardest thing for me. Oh my God. I would be so scared when I first started doing this. And I'd be like, well, a massage, if you get a massage, it can prolong your life. So it's kind of like health. I added health as
You
an
had
expense.
to you had to convince yourself to
I
spend.
did. And then there will be like a massage, and I'll pull from the play money and I'll pull from the health money. And then I felt pressured because I'd be like, oh my God, I have only 3 days and I haven't spent the play money yet. Like, oh my God, it's not that serious. But the play money is like whatever you don't have to justify it. It's whatever you want that you want to do that gives you pleasure. And then there's education, so you always learn and grow. Um, a generosity, I think it was originally called charity, but I called it generosity and investments. And then for me, I added health. Actually, I think a couple of these I added, but it's so funny because in astrology, people say that like, oh, Virgos rule health, so Virgo risings have like the craziest health issues. But I don't know. As a Cancer rising, I feel like Cancers actually experience a lot of health issues, and we're ruled by like the fastest moving planet and stuff. So I feel like with Virgo, when like, I mean, it depends, but like on the level of consciousness. But when Virgos, I feel like there's operating out of like the anxious, like teenager almost persona, and then the responsible adult who's providing service to others. And so the Virgos who are providing service to others, they're doing the things that they should be doing, and so they are healthier, and they're ruled like they're an earth sign. And so I feel like it's easier for them to manage their health, whereas cancers can be kind of like chaotic and all over the place. So I had to create a health budget for myself. But yeah, and so when I started first doing this, and I would get like a $200 check, and I had like, $2 for my charity and stuff, I had to start looking at creative ways to be like, how can I provide service to people? And I would go to like used bookstores and stuff where they have like a $1, $5 book that's like new. Even on Amazon, they have like 99-cent books. So there are ways to really do this. Like you can start to get creative.
Or you can cook a meal for your friends. This is again
Yeah,
giving. This is giving our
absolutely. And
uh,
designate that money.
plus one of my spiritual teachers says 10%, like look, they call it tithing. He says don't give it to churches or whatever. You can just give every 10th lecture for free if you're a lecturer. If you write a book, every 10th book, you give it for free on the internet. If you're an astrologer, any 10th reading, or like I do videos, I try to give 50% of my videos are for free, 50%. So it's like this is also a way of gift giving connected to money.
That's smart. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's a really good point. Yeah,
It's
like
the best you
so
could
it's
with those $2. You put them in books. That was
yeah,
wonderful. But
that's how you could
it's
do the
like
different books.
and it might be acts of service as well. It's a
Yeah,
mixture between gifts and but I consider these are my gifts. When I do a free video like we do right now, this is
yeah,
a gift, and it is somehow the universe will return it monetarily after that because you're showing love. One of your love languages to not just
exactly.
to money specifically, but it's also.
With anything, yeah. Because also Venus and Taurus, they rule resources. And so our resource is our knowledge and, our insights that we're sharing. So this is also another way because every planet, house, and sign manifests in four different ways: emotionally, psychologically, physically, and spiritually. So I also sometimes look at charts and I look at like the where the planets are and what elements, like what signs like they're in, and like what element is the most dominant. And so sometimes people might have more fire signs, and it's like, oh, taking action can help. Oh, but you're lacking water sign, you also still need to balance that out. So it's really about like what approach is the best. And so some people taking that direct approach works. I'm a Cancer rising, so it took me a very long time as a direct person that I was like, oh, I'm represented by a crab. I am not supposed to be direct. I'm like, I want to come and talk to you. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do that. I guess I should go do this other thing over here so that I'll get this thing I want over there. And I'm just like, I have to think of like
You
different
circle
ways.
around.
I have a list. Actually, you know what? You just did that, and I just realized, oh my God, I don't have a circle when I do this. I should create it in a circle because I have a journal and I have a list, and I'm like, how to indirectly do this thing. And then I write
How
about it.
to be
And
true
then,
to my Cancer nature
yeah. And
that
then I have my
doesn't.
little bitch rant on the other side. It's upside down. I'm like, I think this is so stupid that I have to do this. And then I'm like, oh, it worked. Actually, kind of cool. But like, I sit there and I spend so much time being like, how do I indirectly do this? How do I indirectly do this? And it's like it takes so much out of me. But yeah, like it's really about working with your chart and what works best for you. Oh, and then the last one is a physical touch.
Oh,
And
that
so
will be
think
funny
like,
now. Tell me. That will be
why
funny. Do
are
you
you laughing?
lather yourself in bills and
Oh,
caress?
I mean, I'm not a Virgo,
Like my
but
husband's love language is touch. Many husbands probably. And I remember the first day
didn't you say that you hear him talking to money?
he not only it's he one day he had a very big success at the stock market, and I wake up and I hear loud rap music in the living room. He has like patches of dollars on the table, a gun, and he's playing rap music, and he's holding the money and waving them. And started laughing so much. I said, "Why did you have to do that?" He said, "I had to feel the money." He said, "I felt like a gangster and I had to feel it." And he loves one of his favorite presents is like a money clip, even though we barely use cash anymore. But he carries it everywhere and always has some money because he likes the touch of money. It's it will
Yeah.
sound like some pervert, but no, some people touch like. But I want to hear your suggestions.
So funny because like the minute you started laughing, I knew you had a story. That's hilarious. And then you said your husband. I was like, oh, I remember you saying some stuff about him. Yeah. Um, no, mine is a lot more PG, you guys. Lada's is more fun, but like it's still very like think aesthetics, having like a beautiful wallet, cleaning out your wallet. Like a lot of us have like a lot of stuck, stagnant energy, receipts just like being trapped everywhere and stuff. So really cleaning that out, creating a money altar or money origami. Like what I do is I used to get $100 bills and I would make them into heart shapes and I would place them in like different places in my home. And so for me, similar to you, Lada, like I had like more of like I had a poverty kind of mentality mindset of this idea of like there's not enough grass. And so like I would hide money because I'm like, just in case when like, shit goes south, right? So I have cash just hiding around everywhere. And I'll tell like my friends, like, I'm just scared I'm gonna like run out of money. And I've been like I was traveling throughout Southeast Asia with one of my friends, and I would get really nervous that he was like my bank account. And I'll start getting less and less money, and he's spending more money. So he's like, do you need more money? Do you need me to withdraw more cash for you? I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then all of a sudden I'll get scared because I'll be like, I think I'm gonna like run out of money. And he's like, didn't you hide some in your laptop? Didn't you put some over there? Didn't you put some like that? And so I did that a lot when I like now I'm traveling, but when I had like my own apartment, I would have like money, like $100 bills and like heart shape origamis that I would literally forget. And I'll be like telling my friends and they'll be over and I'll just be like, yeah, I'm just really stressed. Like I'm just like really running out of money and I just don't know what to do. And they're just like, I see like a grand just right now. And
In
I'm just like,
origami.
oh, that's so, yeah. So now so then I started like rearranging it so I wouldn't like forget about it. it's really hard to be like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna have money as you're staring at like $1,000, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
That's way more practical way cleaning up your
yeah,
wallet and doing something nice, physical, tangible. And the late Nicola Stojanovic, he gave some great remedies if you have planets in the second house, or if your ruler is conjunct or hard aspect with one of those planets, or whatever the ruler of your second house is. For example, for Saturn, he would say Saturn rules leather, black
yep.
leather. Just have a black leather wallet. If I have the Sun and Mars there in Aries, he said, have a gold wallet. And that's when my money started taking off. Well, I had the gold wallet by chance, and I was using it. Or carry a gold coin inside. Or if it's Cancer, maybe silver. Have a silver coin in your wallet. Because, oh, the moon, because the moon rules silver. Or if it's a Neptune, carry it was something, maybe not sand in your pocket, but carry an image of a dolphin, a picture of a dolphin
Yeah.
wallet, and there were, or icon, because icons are spiritual, like an image of a spiritual teacher in your wallet. But at the same time, it's very important for us not to make idols of money,
Mhm.
because it's, anything that you put it higher than God, it becomes an idol, which we all have
Yeah.
idols of everything. But just throwing this out, because we're talking so much about money, and I want people to remember nothing is, yes, you can have a good relationship, like wooing, dating the money, like we said, but don't
Yeah.
make it your idol.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I remember that course with Nicola. I took it, and for that reason, I
Ah,
have a gold wallet because I'm a Cancer rising. I did have a silver
oh,
one
you have
too.
Leo in your second
Yes,
house. See?
exactly.
Okay,
So
that's in action, showing.
exactly. So right now I can't open it. It's okay. I don't need to open this to show you guys, but it's like a cigarette case kind of thing. And I love it. Like it's really practical.
Oh, with Leo in your second house, so the sun, it can be like luxury brand of your wallet if you can afford, for example. That's another way. With all the colors, with Sagittarius, what can it be? Give me an idea. Sagittarius in the second house, or Jupiter.
Um,
Foreign
Jupiter
coins.
is
He said foreign coins then. A
foreign
foreign,
coins. Actually, I've had friends actually like bring me back foreign coins.
or a bill, foreign bill in your wallet, because Jupiter was
Yeah.
something foreign, Sagittarius, or even Pisces. It's a bit like that.
Or like something like a horse or something. So
Yeah.
it depends every year, but like in feng shui there's different animals that rule you for like the year and stuff like that. So not everyone's gonna like work with the horse, but it also really depends. Like in Chinese zodiac, I'm the year of the rat, and I'm the horse is the my enemy. But in Rumin's course on the ancient astrology, where the certain planets tell you what
Icons.
animals rule you,
Yes.
I have my sun in my ninth house, so
Horse.
I have the horse.
Yes,
So
my
that could
husband
be
as
one of those
well, and
things.
he's the horse, and he from childhood he had horses, and they're
Oh
very
wow.
lucky for him. Yeah, so
He has
the
the sun in his ninth house?
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, going back.
Yeah.
Maybe to give to someone else a Scorpio in the second house, or Mars, or Pluto. I remember Nicola said, carry with Mars maybe like a sharp object in your
You
wallet.
know, there's this thing you can get where it looks like the size of like a credit card, but it's really practical and you can use it to cut paper, to pop open like a beer
That's, yeah.
bottle. It's made out of metal. That would be a good one.
Perfect. Great idea. What
Yeah.
about Pluto? Pluto second house connections. He was saying like a snake, something with a snake or
Yeah.
dragon.
So I have a list here, but it's not like Nicola's style. But
Okay. Yes,
but
yes,
this is
sorry.
more like how to like get cozy with money, not so much remedies. Should
No,
we talk
great.
about the other remedies first, or
No,
should we
I
continue
think
with
we
what you started?
covered everything, didn't we? Uranus. Say Uranus or
Greatest.
Aquarius in the second house. Uh,
That's like digital money on your
yes, crypto.
phone.
On your phone,
Yeah.
pay with your phone. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a physical card, like something very like galaxy, or maybe have like an alien on it or something.
Did we cover what about?
Neptune,
Very,
mermaid,
uh,
oceany, blue.
yeah. I would carry an icon as well and stuff like that. Or what if it's Mercury or Gemini or Virgo?
Um, Kind of like like a wallet that has like two things for Gemini,
Oh, yeah,
like
that
a
one.
double thing.
Yes.
Um, I'm trying to think like, oh, like something that like a kid would have. Like, sometimes there's like those like really cutesy anime kind of like, if like people like those like childish, like kiddish, like wallets and stuff, that might be good.
Like
Um,
we should.
Mercury.
Oh yeah.
Also
Or
maybe like
keys
something
or
that's like
key
a wallet
key
that has like
coders.
words on it.
You're in Mercury's keys. Oh yeah.
Oh
You can
yeah,
make you
jeez.
can have like a key connected to your wallet, or the other thing is words. Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Like I wrote it on my phone because I have also Mercury in the second house and the Sun and Venus. Write their words, affirmations. Keep it in your wallet. That's words of
yeah.
love or appreciation or thank you, and speak thank you. I've taken one class from Mind Valley, and one of the class was say thank you when you're paying bills, when you're giving tips, when you're even giving money for something you don't want, paying in a restaurant or paying for your taxes. Say thank you to the
Yep.
money, and when you receive as well.
Yeah. And I think that that's also especially good because I have my moon in Libra. It's conjuncting Spica, which is one of the fixed stars that's about gratitude. And so being really grateful, Spica is in Libra. Libra is an air sign. It's about speaking, and Spica is about gratitude. Venus rules Libra. So like these are people that like really giving gratitude makes a huge difference with your relationship with money.
Yes. Oh, now tell us about Venus and Taurus if you have it on the second house.
Oh, with Venus or Taurus, maybe a wallet or something with like flowers on it.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I think
absolutely.
so.
Something sweet, Nicolo, though. Say if you have Venus in your second house, carry like a in your purse, like a candy or a honey,
Oh
like a
yeah.
those packet honeys, because Venus is something
Oh, the
sweet.
little honey straws. Yeah, I
Yes.
used to do that. Yeah. I feel like if you have like Taurus or Libra or something in your second house with Mars, like cinnamon candy would be good. Something spicy.
Spicy and
Yeah.
flavorful. So yeah.
Oh, for Scorpio, I wanted to mention it's this wallet. I don't know what it is, and it's actually kind of confusing. Like when you look at it, it's not really straightforward how you're supposed to like open it, and it's like this sneaky way to open it. And one of my friends, he and like I lived in LA, and there was like some actor. I'm really bad with celebrities, so I didn't know or could care less who it was. But both of them had that wallet, and they used to bond over that. And like I was just like, oh my God, you guys are so lame. And then my friends were like, you told so and so that they were lame, just going on like 20 minutes talking about their wallet. I was like, yeah, I thought they were being lame. But it does look like a really cool wallet.
So
But
it's
it's like the
hidden.
way you,
It's hidden. It's
yeah, it's like the
like a
way you
spy
open it,
contraption.
it's not like so straightforward. And you're just like, what are you supposed to do with it? But it looks really cool. But also, what I've done, because I have Jupiter in my seventh house Capricorn, and Jupiter is one of the planets that rule children, and Capricorn is success. So my friends that are successful, um, like like those credit card or like your debit cards where you can have like you can choose pictures of like your you put pictures on it when my friends' cards would expire and like they'd have like pictures of their kids, they would give me the wallet and I would use it as like I would specifically ask the people who like our chart was well aspected and it shows that they help with like my money flow and stuff. And I'd be like, hey, can I have that card? Is that weird? And they would give it to me. So that was a weird thing that I used to do. And then it's like I see like cute pictures of kids, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, how are they doing? And yeah, so I don't know how user friendly that is for everyone else, but
No, I
I
think there's a
personally
lot
really
of
like my.
practical. And there was another thing Nicola used to say. Uh, horoscope, like if people in your life that you communicate with the Sun or Jupiter falling in your second house. Or for businesses, the 10th or the 6th, so these are the earth houses. Say, if you are, for example, Capricorn rising, you'd be looking for someone who Aquarius Jupiter or Aquarius Sun to activate your second house. And that's what happened the moment I met my husband. His Jupiter is in Pisces, my second house. Our finances immediately, because we are constantly together, both of my finances, everything grew up. And so I've seen it work like incredible with my daughter when she was born. Her Jupiter is on my 10th house. Then my career took off big.
I
So
remember you
it's
mentioned
like you
that.
use it. Well, like don't go making babies and stuff like this. But Nicola said if you can't be near such people, carry their charts. A chart with
No,
someone's sun in your second house or Jupiter in your second house. I would advise, I don't know, Sun, Jupiter, it's also you'd spend more, but money
yeah.
would come easier for sure.
No, that's true. I have Leo in my second house, and when I used to work a lot, like I've worked trade shows. I've been a product specialist for like Panasonic, Sony, and I don't know what, like a bunch of those places. And it's like there were times where I would get paid like four figures just for like being on camera for like 5 minutes or something. And I was always like traveling with a work like people that I became friends with, and they were Leos. Because a
Mhm.
lot of it was like you're in the spotlight too. Like we were
Yes.
getting paid being in the spotlight. So a lot of people were actors, a lot of people were Leos and stuff. So that definitely was a thing.
Yeah. And with me, with Pisces in the second house, it's a lot of
I'm
my
like,
friends are
oh,
bohemian,
they could go
party, or
different.
spiritual, they're all channeling, they're all seeing stuff. I'm saying, you're good for me financially. Stay. It's okay, even though you're weird and strange. And I've gone through all the highest Neptunian levels, most spiritual people to lowest, like alcoholics, druggies. But
Yeah. Once you start saying Pisces, I was like, for that reason. But that's the other thing is that Venus rules money, and the higher octave of Venus is Neptune, and Neptune rules fluctuations. So, like when you want to increase your cash flow, I mean that's also your 11th house, Aquarius, Saturn, and Uranus. But just since you brought up Neptune, it's also Neptune, and that also further like confirms what we were talking about how with in order to make money it's important especially for women to not work so hard. Venus, you're not supposed to work hard. Neptune rules the laziest sign, it rules Pisces. And so like and that's why like a lot of wealthy people they automate, they do less work because it's not sustainable to make more money by expending more energy, because the more we do that the more we're like depleting our life force energy anyway. So it's not sustainable. And so something that I've noticed is that if you want to increase your cash flow and you want to materialize something that's not here yet, and you want to get out of like that current material maintaining, you do have to connect more with the Neptune, the spirit realm and stuff. So this is prayer, but also finding ways to be generous. Kind of like what you said, every 10th, like course or something, you offer something at a discount or for free, you're being generous and stuff. But I remember when I was a coach and people were like, "Oh, you want to make more money, you have to give more free things away." And I was like, I don't want to do that. But that's because the way that I was being recommended to do this was exhausting and draining for me. You have to do it in a way that feels nourishing and is inclusive. It has to feel spiritual. It has to feel like it has to feel good. It has to feel almost like a
yeah.
spiritual
No, if
experience.
you're giving it at the same time, like crying inside or doing
Yeah.
the extra work, it really has to come from the heart. Yeah.
Then it's like then you're experiencing the other side of like Venus, I mean, I'm sorry, Neptune ruling financial fluctuations. You're depleting money, you're depleting energy. You don't want to go with it's almost like that Pisces being ruled by that fish. You have the fish going in the direction to elevation, you have the fish that's going downward. If you're giving in a way where it doesn't feel good for you, then yeah, you're gonna lose the money.
But if you're inspired towards it, and so you're saying because
Exactly.
Neptune is the high vibration of Venus, the even higher way to receive money is through Neptunian means, which is money in your sleep. Even that's what really the wealthiest people they don't
Yeah.
work. I mean, except Elon Musk probably, who doesn't sleep. But
Yeah.
the richest people I know, they come from trust funds and they just do charities and they never worked in their life like normal job, and it's very Neptunian to be honest.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you guys, this isn't going to be for everyone, but I'm a Pisces, and when I fractured my ankle, and oh my God, it was during like the time when like Mars was in Aries. You had a course on that specific placement after years of not teaching something, and someone actually gifted me that course, and I didn't get around to like watching it. And then like I manifested it, and like yeah, I was like my bone has never actually healed, but I also like had like a ligament tear. I didn't know at the time, but I was so tired and I slept so much because my body was recovering, and I made so much money on my sleep. I was
Ah,
like, damn. And then I also have my North Node, my Rahu, my 12th house of sleep. And it was a few years back when Mars went into my 12th house, and it was something about, I mean, it's not the first time that's ever happened, but something about that specific time. I was so tired. I was sleeping like I was maybe like up 6 hours, 8 hours a day, and I was sleeping the rest of the time. I would wake up just so that I could eat so I don't pass out because I have low blood pressure kind of thing. Like, and I'm someone who could live off of like 4 hours of sleep a night. So it's so different. And I made so much money, you guys. Like sometimes, like when people say you need to sleep on it, one of
you
my
literally need to sleep through
I
it.
do. And like one of my best friends is a Scorpio rising, is an investor, has a great relationship with money, and he helps businesses like, he works with them and he gets them to like 6, 7 figures and stuff like that. And I ask him for advice, and he gives me the most annoying advice. He's like, you should take a nap. You should go get a massage. You should go sit at that hotel. And I'm like, that sounds so stupid. And then I think about it, and he's like, is it though, Jaymie? Think about it. Because he doesn't know astrology, and he'll be like, am I right? Because I feel right. And I'm like, fuck, you're right. You are right. And I was still letting
You
him in
should
my
nourish
sit
your
at the
Venus if you want
hotel.
money, and even more money your Neptune in healthy ways. I mean,
Yes. Yeah, you guys, like, we're not saying like do a line of coke and expect to make money. Like, that's
prayer,
different.
visualization, meditation is the higher vibration.
Music, creativity.
When you think
Yeah.
about money and if you usually have a trauma, play a song that really that really makes you feel high and positive. And then every time
Mhm.
you think about money, instead of thinking low and "Ugh, no, you'd feel like this up and excitement and motivation. And I would even say for people who have too much of a trauma, every time they think about money and not in their stomach or worry, I'll try to avoid directly thinking about money and connect to the other second house of Venus things like change how you eat, start eating
Yes.
nourishing foods, or like Jamie was saying, the connection, or fix your teeth, or start really
Mhm.
good oral care because second house in Venus is also the mouth. So anything
Yep.
that the food that you eat, and as you know, rich neighborhoods, people eat very healthy. Poor
Mhm.
neighborhoods, people eat very unhealthy. There is a connection always with the food and the grass and the money, or with teeth health. In in ancient Vedic system, a remedy was like if you are poor, take care of your teeth. And you know what?
Yeah.
The moment someone becomes rich, sometimes, or on the way there, they start fixing their teeth. There's the Hollywood smile.
Yeah.
It's not
No,
necessary to do that. Just good oral care. And this is if you can't think directly about money, start with the things that are not connected to money but energetically are connected through the second house.
yeah.
And then as I said, maybe reprogram your mind with every time you worry about money, play very uplifting songs, like so you play it like 100 times till you connect something very uplifting with the thought of money. And this is against
Yeah.
tricks,
So
raise the vibration.
there's there's two things I want to say, and I'm glad you brought it up when you said that like it's better to not think about it when you have like a negative experience. And I'm actually like right now in like staying at a really nice hotel because I've been feeling a little slumped. And both my two of my best friends, one of them was a Leo. They both were like, I think you should stay in a really nice hotel and stuff, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm doing my video with Lada. That's a great idea. right? And I
And
wanted
it's
to
about
talk to
money.
yeah, and I
What
wanted
will you talk?
to talk to my friend about like this negative epiphany I had, and he was like, "No, you're not supposed to deal with that. You are overthinking." And so this is something that I was covering a little bit in the our first video, where I was saying that like there's so much focus on mindset work that sometimes when you're constantly overthinking, your upper chakras are so overly stimulated that actually talking about it and thinking about it is perpetuating, it's re-traumatizing it. You're staying stuck in that loop. So you need to actually shift it. And this is even more so with money because money is Taurus, it's an earth sign, it's grounded, it's material. You need to connect more with your physical body. You need to learn to feel safer. And one of the things that I find to be really damaging is that there's so much narrative around. People are like, oh, heal your money trauma with this money mindset. And it's being taught by these people who don't understand neuroscience, who don't understand psychology, who don't understand energy, spirituality, chakras. They don't know how to read energy. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people who are having a hard time making money and they're constantly anxious and they're constantly in their heads and they're doing all these money mindset work and they're not connecting with their physical body, they're not being present. The money mindset is actually worsening the situation. Like it's dangerous to bypass, like when people are like, oh, here's some fast ways that you can move through it through mindset work and energy healing in order to heal your money trauma because like your mind, you're not present in your mind. In your mind, you're thinking about the past and the future. You are not present in your mind. And if you are expecting to make money by being in the energy of Venus, which is about presence, you're actually disconnecting yourself from the source and essence of what money actually is. And so it's like, and I'm not saying that
A
it's
simple
not,
thing like if you have problems with money, mindful eating. Stay in the
yeah,
moment, watch your food, don't watch TV. Watch your food and chew slowly. And you're learning to be in the presence, which is the energy of money
yeah. Because
and
like it's
grounding.
not that all my money mindset stuff is like bad, but it's really like the second sign in second house is always the resource of the previous sign in the previous house. So the second sign of Taurus is Gemini. And so Gemini is about mindset work. So it can help you. But when you're jumping to that before you're working on and you're connecting to money, you're being present and stuff, oftentimes people who are disconnected, they're too much in their upper like chakras in their mind, in their head. And your mind is a part of your body, but the rest, it's a small part. And so there needs to be more of a mental disconnection and developing more presence that's actually more important that people just really aren't focusing on. And it becomes this thing where people don't realize it, but the money mindset becomes a way to bypass and avoid doing the actual work while thinking that you're doing the work. So you're causing yourself problems without realizing it. And so it's one of those things where it's like there's a timing and a flow to everything. And understanding that it's your first house and then your second house and then your third house. Like, there's these steps that
First,
you have to
embody
take.
yourself, you
Yeah.
authentically, how you approach life. Then you ground yourself with the second house with the money, and then you change your mindset with the third house.
Yeah.
And
So
by the way, Jamie is offering specific reading that is called Get Cozy with Money. For should look, analyze, walk you through the best strategies psychologically, and even because what I loved about her reading, what she did for me, she was giving in the reading specific, very specific advice and instructions for actual external things, how to the person you were reading, how to increase the income, where money can come from more, what to try businesses into. She didn't know anything about the person. And she told them, first of all, she told them what they worked really, but they said she was giving them very specific through what media, through what, according to their horoscope. And that was fascinating. So she's not just gonna help you say, see, like, oh, psychologically, you have to change this and this or do this. She'll tell you specific pathways according to your horoscope where money will flow easier. So that's her offering for the
yeah,
deals. Now I'll put the link below for anyone who is
yeah. And I'm big on that. Like I did a consultation for one of my clients and I was recommending like, oh, something that's going to help you to ground you and help you is to have more structure. And I like, because of her placements, I was recommending like developing more structure around food, and being an air sign, socializing was really important. So I recommended like creating like a potluck with friends and consistently meeting up with people and actually like focusing on personal goals, because her ninth, the ruler of her ninth house was involved. And I recommended like having a group of people and like talking about, everyone talking about their personal goals, coming together. And I described the archetype of the friends and the people to invite at that potluck that's going to be the most beneficial. And then I also mentioned, because I'm always thinking about like, what if, what if, what if. So I was like, if you don't know anybody that meets this criteria, I'm looking at her chart, I'm looking at the influence of her third house. And I was like, go to the library, go to the farmer's market, like post things up in your neighborhood. I'm always like providing information, because I don't want someone to come back at me and be like, but I don't know how to do that, but I don't have this information, whatever the case
Practical
may
side,
be.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I really liked as well, that about your
yeah.
reading. And by the way, you
But
said you had something prepared or for the uh did you speak about it that you had?
oh, yes, I do. I have like just some like quick stuff for each rising sign, like what they
Okay,
can do to get
perfect.
cozy with money. But
It's
I want to
good.
talk about two other things first really fast. So there's one thing, you guys, that's like, I think if you take anything away from this video, it's this one thing. And it's free, it's super effective. And if you do this is going to be the thing that helps you to get the money that you want, the relationship that you want. And it's really underrated. And this is going to be the big game changer. It's a major shape shifting, like a reality shapeshifter. And this is considering that your second house is money and things that support you in your physical body. It also rules your core values. Okay. And the thing is that, like, honestly, I think the way a lot of core values is talked about, it's really boring and really basic bitch. But like an effective way to really identify what your core values are is to think about the shit that viscerally pisses you off. That's an indicator that your core values aren't being met. Think about the things that really make you mad, and make sure that in spaces that you're in, especially like the relationship, the people that you're connecting with, the environment where you're making money, that your core values are being met. Because if they're not being met, you're probably not going to get the money or the relationship that you want. So for me, my six core values are intelligence, accountability, honesty, authenticity, freedom, and independence. And if I don't have these things, it's like I struggle with making money. So these are the things that are so absolutely important for me. And this is something that everyone can do. And it's so funny because I've recommended this to so many of my clients, and to date I only know one client who's done this. And like, I've lived in LA, so I do have some clients that are millionaires, but she's the only one who actually became a millionaire, and she was the only one that actually used the core values. Like, she actually took the time. And I've had students be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." And it's like, what do you mean you would do that? Why aren't you just thinking about it right now? Like, why aren't you telling me like, "Oh, this pisses me off"? Like, and months will go by and people don't um do that work. And like, someone's ability to identify what their core values are and understanding that concept sort of shows me a readiness of how comfortable they are with making the changes that they want financially, because it's like it's directly tied. And anger is like, it's a resource, like it's sacred rage, it gives information. And anger is ruled by Scorpio, Aries, so it's a lot of this stuff. So it's a lot of these different things that you can kind of use to get insights, that I think is literally like, if you do this, it changes the game so much. And then the other thing I wanted to say, and this is just a little like warning, it's gross, but it works, you guys. Is one of the ways that you can see the kind of relationship that you have with money is, there's that book called like, What Does Your Poop Say About You? The astrology edition is, What does your poop say about your relationship with money? So, and by the way, you guys, I had a hydrocolon therapist confirm this, and she used to be my hydrocolon therapist when I was in LA, and apparently she also cleaned out Tony Robbins's ass, and people care about that. And for some reason, I would tell this story, and it wasn't until I mentioned him that people like started taking me seriously. So I'm like, okay, so I want to validate it. But there's this correlation. Obviously, there's, other medical considerations that you want to, make, but people who are more prone to constipation, there's sort of this correlation of people who are better at hanging on to and receiving money and stuff, but they also might hoard on to anger, resentment, and stuff, emotionally, but also physically hoard things too, which can create stagnation. So they can bring in money, but then it's difficult to make more money beyond that. And then the people who are more prone to diarrhea these are people who have a harder time receiving. Now they don't hang on to resentment as much, correlation wise, and they're like better at letting things go, but there's like they they have a hard time like saying yes, trusting in order to hold space for it. So this kind of can like tell you this like interesting story. And some people who even have like psychosomatic symptoms, like I had a client who's a Sag rising, and she had like half her planets in Scorpio, and she was like constantly constipated. And it was after doing like money and emotional mindset work and healing. She didn't change anything, and like she was able to poop. So sometimes like it can be sort of like these things. And so I've had clients and friends where they'll be like, "Oh, I'm a mixture." And I used to do a lot of freelance work with them, so I would like notice their patterns because we would travel together, and I'll be like, "Okay, they're getting diarrhea and it's a bigger cash flow, or they're working with someone problematic. Okay, they're working with someone that's familiar. They're more constipated. I'm really weird, you guys." So I noticed these
That's so true
patterns,
though. That's so true.
right?
And
And
that's the access of money is the access of going to the toilet.
yeah,
Physical.
Scorpio, exactly. It's defecation, it's your anus and stuff. So if you're more prone to constipation, one of the things that I recommend is like definitely doing the work to letting go of like emotional resentment and also releasing products. So in feng shui, they say that before you bring in anything new, to get rid of 27 things, because in numerology it breaks down to 9, which is in feng shui it rules transformation. So, like learning to do that can really help you. Whereas, in so with constipation, it's more material. So the advice is more tangible and like, material in nature. It's more esoteric with the diarrhea stuff because it's naturally more, it's like it's the solution essentially.
Rarefied, rarefied, fine matter.
Yeah, exactly. So like this is usually tied with people who have a hard time trusting. And so it's that like distrust like energy of Scorpio going on and stuff. So it's finding ways to learn to feel safe, learning to trust, processing your traumas. And this can show up in so many different ways, but usually the psychosomatic approaches are the ones that work best. Um, my consultation or my signature consultation, Jaymie Scorpio AF does go into that. But yeah, like it's one of those things where I feel like when it's esoteric or when it's diarrhea, taking the esoteric approaches tend to work a little bit better. But it also is showing that you're having a hard time digesting something. So maybe there's something in the environment that makes you feel unsafe or is unsafe, and you need to change that. You need to literally change your environment, kind of thing. But
Really?
um,
Thank you.
yeah.
And
And
yeah, I don't know, like it's getting up to an hour and a half. Is do
oh
you
my
want
God,
to
have
go
we
through
been that long?
everything? It's good, fascinating. The information is wonderful. I've been reading people's comments and it's
Oh yeah. What are people saying? Do we have any questions we should be answering?
okay. I switched off from there, so I don't know how to find it now.
Oh,
I am not sure. Wait. Uh, I'm trying to get
Yeah, last time,
second screen.
I had some friends who were watching it and they were messaging me, so that now I have my phone off because I don't want to be distracted. And they're like, "Oh, someone liked it or someone said this," and they're like, "You should watch the replay." But I didn't have access to the lives, and so I was like, "Oh, I wish I could have answered you guys' questions."
Okay, I'm here. I can see if there are any questions. Okay, I'm waiting. So if anything comes up. But if you have anything else to say, that you're like a fountain of
Yes.
information, Jamie.
So I wrote down some just like quick notes for what each rising sign can do to get cozy with money and some stuff that they can kind of work through.
Okay, wonderful. Let's go through the
Yeah.
12 signs. So, do people consider it from the ascendant sign only, or through, I think also through the moon sign, because the moon is
Yeah,
where we hold the most emotions. So, if your moon is saying Gemini, listen to the Cancer one, because the second house from
absolutely.
Gemini would be Cancer. So, yeah, start with say the sign we're talking about and then the
Yeah.
house. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, basically, so right now I'm gonna start with Aries. It can be Aries rising, but it could also be if you have Aries moon, like Lada said, or you have Aries in your second house. These are gonna be kind of similar themes going on here. So for an Aries rising, your chart ruler is Mars, and Mars also rules your eighth house. So what's going to be really helpful for you to get cozy with money is to process your traumas so that the actions that you take are going to so that you make sure that the actions that you take, they're not from a trauma triggered place. This is going to be something that helps. But also for Aries rising, you have Taurus in your second house of money. And the best way for you to manage your resources is to be responsible. And this is difficult because that's kind of the energy that goes against the energy of Aries, unless you have like a Mars, Saturn conjunction, or Saturn on your ascendant and stuff. So it's not always the most sustainable to tell an Aries, like, oh, you should try to be more responsible and stuff. But what can help is other people, business partners, friends, because the eighth house not only also rules you, but the eighth house is your other finance house. It's financial support and resources from other people. That's not you, your spouse, your business partners, your clients, and stuff. And so it's going to be easier for you to connect with the energy of Mars because you're already ruled by Mars. And Scorpio is strategic by nature. And so, even though Aries is a really independent sign, Aries, when they get into a committed partnership and they connect with them that archetype, which is Libra, in their seventh house, their relationship with money tends to improve because their partner is ruled by Venus, and so it kind of helps them to integrate with that relationship, but also it doesn't have to be a romantic partner but a business partner, going into business with someone who has a good understanding of money, who is strategic with their finances. They're going to be people that help you because you're going to be more responsible with how you're interacting with the money that you're getting through your business partner, through your clients, and then you can use those strategic psychological habits that you gained in your eighth house and carry that knowledge into your second house, and you start to realize, oh, this is actually really good. And then you start to kind of manage things. It's easier for an Aries to go from their first to their eighth house to their second house, if that makes sense, because their first and their eighth has a connection.
That's so true. As a Aries stellium, that's totally has worked for me.
Yeah. With Taurus risings, you're going to have Gemini in your second house. So going back to the love languages, I recommend quality time. Learn about money, read about money, do daily affirmations, talk to it. Because it's Mercury ruled, so it's also words of affirmation. If you speak another language, learning about money in another language is going to be good because when you're learning about things in another language, you're using a different part of your brain. And money is psychological and it's emotional for us. And because Venus rules it, and Venus is also one of the other planets that are emotional. So they even say that, like, when you're upset, when you are able to think in another language, they say when you're upset, think in that other language. It helps you to process things in a different way, in a healthier way. So doing that can be really beneficial, and finding ways to be playful with money. With Gemini, a good way for you to get cozy with money is to really work on your home, because Cancer and Virgo placements are major players here. You have Cancer, which rules your home. It's in your second house of your money and things that support you. And then in your fourth house of home, you have Virgo here. And Virgo, along with Gemini, they are both ruled by Mercury. So your home is important, and it's tied to your mental state, how you feel, and stuff. So you, in order to get comfortable, get cozy with money, you want to learn to feel at home with yourself, where you live in your physical body and in your physical home, and take care of your health, because this is going to make it easier for you to hold space and connect with the energy of money, because your home is tied to Virgo, and Virgo is is like an anxious, emotional sign. And so they have a lot of insecurity. So when you have that, there can be a lot of doubting that takes place. And that is also connected to your moon, your Cancer in your second house. So those things can kind of play off of each other. So you really want to learn to get comfortable in your physical body, in your home. Um, and these are going to be things that help you, as well as learning, as regulating your nervous system. Now, for Cancers, I recommend that you embrace financial fluctuations. This is kind of like the fuck around and find out energy. Unless you have Saturn on your ascendant or your second house, in which case ignore this. But otherwise, Cancers are ruled by the moon, which is the fastest moving luminary. So you experience a lot of fluctuations in your chart. And in your vocational house of your sixth house of your ideal work environment and your 10th house of your professional success, you have fire signs here. And so it's really important for you to have a lot of freedom and stuff. So for you, finding ways to get comfortable with money can be like in your work environment, look into freelance work and becoming an entrepreneur. Leo is your is in your second house is how you make money. Sagittarius in your sixth house is your ideal work environment. It's very future oriented, needs a lot of freedom and space. Your 10th house is about you being a leader. You have the sign of entrepreneur here, and it's going to be easier for you to embrace fluctuation when you're not trying to force stable 9 to 5 into your life. Because then you're going to work more with the energy and the flow, and you'll start to realize that things are cyclical, and it's important to budget accordingly to do that. Now, for a Leo rising, it's really important for you to develop your confidence, because that's what your rule, you literally Leo rules that. And your second and 11th house, these are things that are because they're both ruled by Mercury. Okay, you have Gemini in your second house of how you make money, and you have or no, I'm sorry, Virgo in your second house of how you make money, and Gemini in your third house of how you increase your financial gains. You want to make sure to take care of your health and have a healthy relationship with money. You want to be responsible, practical, and use it to help others. That's working with the energy of your second house placement with Virgo there. And then in your 11th house, in order to basically manage your resources responsibly and feel safe with money, you want to use it in a way that supports others. And then when you're ready to up level and increase your cash flow, now you're operating from the 11th house where you have Gemini.